Hello, everyone, and welcome to Lit Worlds Live. As we count down to our 15th anniversary celebration on November 1st, 2022, we are excited to explore all things Lit World with our summer live series. In the process, we pay tribute to the people, organizations, and institutions that have joined us over the years in this movement to strengthen kids and communities through the power story. Since 2007, LitWorld has worked in collaboration with community based organizations around the world to deliver social emotional literacy based programming to young people with the goal of creating safe spaces for them and driving global conversations around equity and access for all. Today, we are exploring LitWorld's signature program, the Lit Club, and we're so glad to have you along. Please feel free to ask questions or talk to us using the chat feature, and make sure to follow us on social so that you don't miss any of the Lit World Live series this summer. My name is Amber Peterson. I'm Lit World's Director of Program Innovation, and I'm joined by my colleague Maria.
Hi, everybody. My name is Maria Oholchanska, and I'm LitWorld's Program and Partnership Associate.
We also have the absolute pleasure of being joined by artist extraordinaire and longtime Lit World's collaborator, Tina Villadolid.
Thank you, Amber. Thank you, Maria. It's such a joy and pleasure to be here today.
So Tina, I know you've been part of the Lit World story for such a long time. How did you get involved?
Well, in 2015, I had a conversation with Pam Allen, who is the founder of Lit World, at a college reunion, and we spoke about my work with community as a museum teaching artist in California. And it was after that conversation that I started to work as a visual storyteller for Lit World at various events in New York, in California, and also abroad in Africa and the Philippines.
Wonderful. We are so glad that you've been part of this story for as long as you have. Outside of your work with Lit World, you are an incredibly established and incredibly accomplished artist and educator. Can you tell us a little bit about your work and what you're doing now?
Oh, thank you, Amber. After 23 years as a teaching artist in California, I started to actually teach the children of former students after that length of time. And being able to see that generational shift toward understanding that art offers a key form of learning, I felt that it was time for me to return to being a learner myself. So I currently am in the social practice Master of Fine Arts program at the Corcoran School of Arts at George Washington University. And social practice is any form of art that engages the public in discourse about real-world issues. And because art transcends language barriers, cultural differences, and perceived limitations, it is also a very humanizing connector. And the program at George Washington University has a focus on public policy, and art is a very powerful way to represent those who need to be seen and heard. So I am so happy to be back in school.
I love that definition of social practice. And I think so much of the work that we do at Lit World aims to be that for young people.
Yes.
And so you really are the perfect person to be here with us today as we talk about Lit Clubs. And Lit Clubs are Lit World's core programming and our most prolific. And Maria, why don't you take it away?
Absolutely. Thank you, Amber. And thank you, Tina. Thank you once again to everybody who is joining us today on this live. I'm super excited to talk about Lit Club. So what is a Lit Club? It is an after-school program typically geared at young people between the ages of 10 and 14, providing safe spaces for storytelling, self-exploration, and centering around Lit World's 7 strengths. Each Lit Club session provides a deep dive into one of these 7 strengths, which are belonging, curiosity, friendship, kindness, confidence, courage, and hope. Through read alouds, community building games, art, writing, and other types of activities, Lit Club members explore themselves, their communities, and of course, the world around them every week. There are currently about 3,000 Lit kids enrolled in Lit Clubs around the world, and since 2007, there have been tens of thousands of Lit Club graduates. Now, although Lit Clubs started as programs for children, the need for such safe spaces was one that we saw echoed through the communities that we were working in. We now have moms lit clubs geared at creating those safe spaces for caregivers, primarily mothers, although open to all caregivers, and lit core programming, creating those spaces for teens in order to cultivate and inspire future lit club leaders.
Lit clubs are incredibly special spaces. They help young people explore and connect with the seven strengths and become confident, thoughtful, and connected members of their communities. Lit club members become classroom leaders and see their grades and engagement with school improve. They become advocates at home for their siblings, their families, and gender equality. And they become change makers in their communities, standing up against bullying, fighting for social justice, and ensuring that their voices are heard by those in power. So, today we are going to give you a special glimpse inside a Lit Club session by taking you through one. So, feel free to join along at home as the three of us become your mentors or Lit Club leaders, and we show you just what a typical Lit Club session might look like.
Sounds good. Super excited to get started. So let's get right into it. The first part of a typical Lit Club session is the welcome part, as you can see on the screen here. The welcome consists of a little singing, a little chatting, and then some type of community building activity to bring us all together. The point of this welcome moment is to help Lit Club members feel comfortable in the session and really connect to one another. So we start every Lit Club with the hello song. Music can be a universal language, and by starting with a familiar song, we not only create a joyful routine for the kids, but we establish a transition from whatever was happening in their day before to the safe space that is Lit Club. Now, the hello song is sung in many different unique ways all over the world, sometimes to a fun beat, sometimes to a popular song, and sometimes it's chanted, sometimes it's signed. So really up to the kids in the Lit Club to decide how they want to start their session. Now, this is an example of a hello song sung at one of our Lit Clubs in Kenya. I love this. So as you can see, the hello song aims to call out every Lit Club member by name, saying, hello, Maria, hello, Amber, to acknowledge and appreciate everybody's presence in the Lit Club that day. Now, once we're finished singing, the next part of the welcome is the check-in question. The check-in question changes every week, and it really helps mentors set the tone for the session and see how everybody's feeling. So check-in questions can be playful. For example, if you could change into an animal right now, what would it be? Or reflective, asking the kids to really think back to their day or their week and how they're doing. Or they can be thoughtful, like what's one thing that you would change about the world? Now, the check-in questions are always open-ended. There's no yes or no questions because there are no wrong answers in a Lit Club. So since we are doing a Lit Club session today, we're also going to do a check-in question and demonstrate for everybody watching. Our check-in question today is, what is the best thing that happened to you in the last 72 hours? Now, for those watching at home, please feel free to share in the comments. And something that we do in a Lit Club is we ask kids, when you're ready to answer, put a finger on your nose. So I'll go first. For me, I went hiking with my family a few days ago. It was really lovely, allowed me to be in nature and really share that special moment with my mom and my brother. Now, I saw Tina and Amber both put fingers to their nose. So, Amber, what about you?
The best thing that happened to me in the last 72 hours, kind of similar vein, I was able to get out and enjoy the beautiful Brooklyn weather that we've been having. So Spending time with friends and being out in nature has definitely been the highlight of my week so far.
Absolutely. Thank you for sharing. Nature is so healing. It's so nice to get outside. Now, Tina, what about you?
Well, one of the best things that happened to me in the last 72 hours was that I got to spend time with my 6-month-old grandson.
Amazing.
Yes, so amazing. He is growing and developing so fast. So any time that I get to spend with him and his parents is just so filled with joy.
Thank you so much for sharing that special moment as well. Shooting stars to everybody. Another thing that we do in Lit Club is sending everybody stars for participating. Thank you, thank you, thank you. So once everybody had a chance to share and answer the check-in question, we move on to the last part of the welcome, which is our community builder. The community builder is a fun, silly moment to create connection and to create that opportunity for Lit Club members to interact with each other once again through different quick games like 20 questions, step forward if, or the human knot. Now, community builders like these help us learn new things about one another and really foster those new connections that we might not have known that they were there. This concludes the first welcome section of the Lit Club, and we move on to our read aloud.
Read aloud. We love, love, love the read aloud. If you know anything about Lit World, you know we're crazy about the read aloud. Before I talk about this a little bit more, I want to shout out all of the people who are joining us in the comments. We see some amazing submissions for the things that were fun for you this weekend for the last 72 hours, seeing friends and being able to feeling better after sickness. I'm glad you feel better. So thank you for participating, and please continue to participate in the comments. But as Maria mentioned, after the welcome is the read aloud. We love the read aloud at Lit World. In fact, we established World Read Aloud Day back in 2010 as a way of celebrating this accessible and incredibly impactful act. Reading aloud doesn't just help kids academically, although studies have shown that daily reading aloud to children can put them almost a full academic year ahead of children who don't receive a daily read aloud, and that's regardless of income, education level, or cultural backgrounds. But reading aloud is also an amazing way of creating community. So in our Lit Clubs, it's an opportunity for members to connect through the mirrors, windows, and sliding glass doors that stories can provide. Lit Club read alouds are stories that are chosen by mentors that are reflective and relevant to the communities that they serve. They can be children's books, poems, or traditional stories, and we analyze them together by thinking about them through the lens of the 7 strengths. So today, as we share this Lit Club session with all of you watching, it feels important to zoom in on the strength of belonging and making sure that we all feel connected to each other. So, our read aloud today is going to be a poem by one of Lit World's favorite authors, Naomi Shihab Nye. And it's called Famous. Famous. The river is famous to the fish. The loud voice is famous to silence, which knew it would inherit the earth before anybody said so. The cat sleeping on the fence is famous to the birds watching him from the birdhouse. The tear is famous briefly to the cheek. The idea you carry close to your bosom is famous to your bosom. The boot is famous to the earth, more famous than the dress shoe, which is famous only to floors. The bent photograph is famous to the one who carries it and not at all famous to the one who is pictured. I want to be famous to shuffling men who smile while crossing streets, sticky children in grocery lines, famous as the one who smiled back. I want to be famous in the way a pulley is famous, or a buttonhole, not because it did anything spectacular, but because it never forgot what it could do. After our read alouds, mentors are sure to foster discussion with open-ended questions. So again, feel free to answer in the comments to these questions. But how did this poem make you feel? Maria, how did this poem make you feel?
Well, first of all, I adore that poem, and thank you so much for the read aloud, Amber. The poem really always makes me feel so reflective about everything that is around us and how interconnected we are with all of those things.
Absolutely. I love this poem too. I think it is a different way of thinking about belonging and thinking about this idea of being famous. Um, Tina, I mentioned that today's strength was belonging. How might this poem make you think about belonging?
Um, I love this poem too, and it really caused me to think differently about the meaning of the word famous. I think a lot of us, when we think of the word famous, we think that means that you are in magazines, that you're up on stage somewhere, that everyone knows your name, but that's not necessarily the case. And famous just means that you're known and familiar and connected.
Mm, absolutely. And I love that definition of famous. And I like thinking about all the different ways that I might be famous to those people who
Yes,
are around me.
yes.
So thank you guys both for your perspective, and thank you in the comments for letting us know your perspective as well. Uh, the next part of the Lit Club session is the core activity.
Yes. So the core activity is central to the Lit Club. It's an opportunity for members to think critically about the 7 strengths, the story or stories shared in the read aloud, and all of that comes through their own experiences and perspectives. And the core activity can be theater-based, play-based, writing-based, art-based, but the core activity always allows for creative self-expression and process through that. And in my experiences with Lit World, I've had the honor of leading some core activities, and it is always thrilling and rewarding to see the diversity of ways that the same simple prompt or direction is interpreted and responded to by people globally from around the world, no matter who they are, what their age is. One of Lit World's favorite core activities is the Heart Map. And the Heart Map originally was conceived by author and educator Georgia Hurd. And the instructions for creating a heart map are simple. The first thing that you do is you write down as many words as you can think of to describe yourself. And for instance, sometimes we ask people to think of describing themselves in terms of nouns. So I might write down nouns such as artist, creator, educator, learner, mother, daughter. There's no right or wrong, and you can always add to your list and keep adding to the list. The next thing that you do is you draw a heart. And everyone's heart can look different. There's not just one way to create a heart. So find your own way to draw a heart. And then inside the heart, you can write or draw those words that are important to you, that you associate with, that you identify with. And you can also decide, how do you want to write or draw them? Do you want to use an assortment of different writing styles? Do you want to write some words large, some small, some tiny? Do you want to write them in different colors? It's really up to you, because this is for you. And the most important part of making a heart map is sharing it, is talking about what you created and why. And that dialogue that happens afterward is vital to any kind of art form. So there can be a discussion about what's usually inside you, but now people can see it.
Absolutely. In my time with Lit World, I can't even count the number of heart maps I've made, and they're always very different from each other. But some of my very favorite heart maps have been the creative variations on this activity that I've done with you. So,
Yes.
thinking back on your time with Lit World, what have been some of your favorite heart map experiences?
Oh my gosh. Well, definitely, Amber, it was the 3-dimensional heart maps that actually you and Maria also shared in those experiences. We did 2 different versions of the 3-dimensional heart maps, and essentially it was just taking this 2-dimensional idea of filling a heart with what you identify with and creating individual artworks from the community, and then installing them so that you could physically walk through the community's heart map. And in Brooklyn, we invited the mothers of the Arab American Family Support Center to participate. And at first they were very skeptical, saying, we are not good at art, we don't know why we're here. But they ended up really loving it and finding that through simple line shapes and color, that they were able to really express a lot about their homelands. And they also wrote poetry in their own language. So that was very meaningful for everybody who witnessed that. And in Harlem, entire families participated together in the three-dimensional heart map. And when art is a shared experience between generations, it bonds family members together. And it's an opportunity to learn more about each other and to develop empathy.
Mm. I remember both of those heart map experiences, and not only were they just like incredibly beautiful, they were so powerful.
Yes.
Those very simple ideas became such moving and just, I think, transformational for everyone involved experiences. So, if you are interested in learning more about the Heart Map project that Tina led here in New York City, check out the Lit World timeline at litworld.org/timeline. Or go to litworld.org/heartmaps to see the results of our global heart map project that we actually implemented right at the start of the pandemic. And we collected heart maps from people all over the world. Both are amazing examples of what these core activities can do.
Mhm.
Tina, you talk a lot about line, shape, and color and light when it comes to the core activities you created and helped lead for Lit World. Why do you think these concepts are so important as we think about self-expression?
Oh, that's such a good question. Well, art can be very intimidating to many people. And I think that's because too often um, people think that the objective of making art is perfection, about achieving perfection, and it's not. It's about one's own individual way of seeing and feeling things, and how do you express that? So when we start with the basic elements of art, which are line, shape, and color, it is astounding to see the range of ways in which people approach visual expression from their own perspective once they realize that there's no right or wrong answer. It's really for them and comes from within them. And also, I just want to make a mention that for those who may be visually impaired, verbal descriptions and tactile encounters can be used. You can ask questions such as, what emotion might a thick, heavy line express? Or how might the color icy blue make you feel, or what does it remind you of? What about red hot? What does that make you think about? And you could also ask, how would you express the heaviness of this rock through a mark? What about the silkiness of this fabric? We experience everything through our senses, and so line, shape, and color, regardless of whether it's visual or oral or tactile, can help us to express those experiences.
Mm, absolutely. Thank you so much. You've done so much with Lit World over the years,
Mhm.
and so much in just kind of helping to create these moments for storytelling, story sharing,
Mhm.
in ways that we don't necessarily always think of as storytelling and story sharing.
Mhm.
So, thinking back again over all of your time with Lit World, what are some of the takeaways that you have from working with kids and communities in Lit Clubs all over the world?
I continually find that just affirmation for the fact that each one of us, no matter where we are from, who we are, what we do, is a creative. And I have come to believe that I don't really teach art as much as I reconnect people to their inherent creativity. And I share ways in which we can express our internal world with others by bringing it out into the tangible world. And in that way, we can see and feel how we're connected despite external differences.
Thank you so much, Tina, for all that you do for Lit World, all that you've done to help celebrate kids, communities, and stories all over the world. And this is maybe a perfect segue to our farewell, which is the last part of the Lit Club session.
Absolutely. Thank you, Amber. And thank you so much, Tina, for all the lovely core activity leading and everything that you've said about Lit Clubs and art within Lit Clubs. So, every Lit Club session does end with a farewell part, which includes our wrap up, a praise circle, and the goodbye song. So the wrap up is typically a summary of the lessons learned during the Lit Club session and the reiteration of any big ideas that we discussed. So today's Lit Club was about belonging. We would discuss belonging. As we wrap up this Lit Club session in particular, with all of you watching with us today, we want to shout out our kids, our Lit Club mentors, and the Lit World partners that support the work of Lit Clubs every day. Lit clubs are such important spaces for young people in our network to connect and to learn from one another and really build relationships with people who support and encourage them. For our most vulnerable children around the world, this space may be the only safe space they encounter every day. So, for every child, everywhere deserves safe spaces like Lit Clubs, an opportunity to explore and share their own voices and stories. Now, after we wrap up the big ideas of a Lit Club, we move on to the Praise Circle. The Praise Circle is a very special moment, one of my favorite moments in a Lit Club. It's an opportunity to share genuine appreciation for others in your Lit Club community, and we encourage kids to do that during every session. So, this is a moment of really serious joy where Lit Club members get to celebrate one another, praise one another, take a moment to show each other love. So today we're going to show you how one might do a praise circle by doing one ourselves. And I'll start. Tina, I'd like to praise you for all the incredible work that you've done with Lit World over the years and for joining us today to let others know about this important work. Thank you so much, Shooting Stars.
Oh, thank you. You're welcome. And Amber, I would like to praise you for just continuing this incredible work throughout the years and just always seeking ways to improve it and to connect people. And I'm so happy that you brought me back into the circle. Thank you.
Thank you. I would like to praise Maria. Maria, thank you for being my partner in implementing this work and helping to share this work with people all over the world, and always being so thoughtful about our programming and about our partners, and making sure that you put our mission at the forefront every single day. So thank you so much, Maria.
Thank you, thank you, thank you, Amber. Thank you for your praise. And I'll give one last round of praise to everybody who is joining us today watching. Thank you so much for being a part of Lit World's story and learning about our work with us today. Thank you to the entire Lit World community for continuing this important work and making sure that Lit Clubs are the special places that they're meant to be. And a final thank you to everyone who has ever supported our work. Running Lit Clubs, of course, costs money, from paying for spaces for Lit Club members to meet, to making sure mentors and support staff are compensated fairly for their time, and making sure Lit kids have books to read and art supplies to create with. So every $10, $15, $100 goes to make sure that kids everywhere have the opportunity to share their stories. If you would like to support the work that we do, the work that you've learned about today, please text the number on the screen that you see, or you can always visit litworld.org/donate. Now, since we are at the very, very end of our Lit Club session today, the sessions typically end the way that they begin, with a song. So please feel free to sing with us as we say goodbye and sing the signature Lit Club goodbye song. It goes something like this. Amber, take it away.
So long, farewell, goodbye, my friends. So long, farewell, goodbye. We'll see you soon again, my friends. So long, farewell, goodbye. Goodbye, everybody. Make sure you join us next week, Thursday, for our next Lit World Live, where we'll be zooming in on some of our amazing partnerships around the world. Thank you guys so much.
You.
Thank you.
Goodbye.
Bye.
Bye.